was a good week to pick some games for sure. But let's take a look at some recaps now, and we'll start with that Thursday night game. The New York Jets defeated the Houston Texans 21-13. C.J. Stroud was 11 of 30 for 191 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 27.8 and a rating of 59.2. Could not get it going. Under a lot of pressure. He was sacked 8 times actually in that game also. So Joe Mixon carried the rock 24 times for 106 yards and a touchdown. Tank Dell had 6 receptions for 126 yards. For the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers was 22 of 32 for 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 79.2 and a rating of 118.1. Brees Hall carried the rock 15 times for 74 yards. Devontae Adams had 7 receptions for 91 yards and got in the end zone. Garrett Wilson had 9 receptions for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, and one of the best catches I've ever seen. Really great catch. So yeah, the Jets finally did something. Houston did not look good though. I know they're a little bit banged up. They lost Stephon Diggs for the year, and Nico Collins is still on IR, so he should be coming back soon though. Okay, moving on to Sunday games. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Miami Dolphins 30-27. Close game. This was a good close game. For the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa was 25 of 28 for 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 89.2 and a rating of 124.9. Good game. That's a good game. Devon Achane had 12 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill had 4 receptions for 80 yards. For the Bills, Josh Allen was 25 of 39 for 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, for a QBR of 68.7 and a rating of 95.6. James Cook carried the rock 10 times for 44 yards. Ray Davis was the leading receiver, 2 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. Miami falls to 2-6. Buffalo improves to 7-2. No surprise there. Buffalo is better than I thought that they would be going into the season though. Josh Allen is really showing that he is a force multiplier. Buffalo's looking good. In the AFC, I would say it's Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. Okay, the Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Cleveland Browns 27-10. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert was 18 of 27 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR 59.3 and a rating of 125.8. J.K. Dobbins carried the rock 14 times for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quentin Johnson had 4 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown. For the Browns, Jameis Winston was 26 of 46 for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Ouch. Jameis, QBR 27.9 and a rating of 50.5. Nick Chubb carried the rock 15 times for 39 yards. Cedric Tillman had 6 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown. Moving on to Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens defeated the Denver Broncos 41-10. 41-10. For the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix was 19 of 33 for 223 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, for a QBR of 52.9 and a rating of 65.6. Javonte Williams carried the rock 12 times for 42 yards. Cortland Sutton had 7 receptions for 122 yards and a passing touchdown to Bo Nix. So no passing touchdowns for Bo Nix, but a receiving touchdown. And no receiving touchdowns for Cortland Sutton, but a passing touchdown. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson was 16 of 19. 16 of 19. For 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 97.2 and a rating of 158.3. Derrick Henry carried the rock 23 times for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers had 5 receptions for 127 yards yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, Baltimore is, their defense isn't looking like quite as good as we're accustomed to seeing from a Baltimore Ravens defense, but Lamar Jackson playing like an MVP, and Derrick Henry kind of also playing like an MVP, so that's why Baltimore's so scary. The Carolina Panthers defeated the New Orleans Saints 23-22. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Actually, moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 41-24. For the Raiders, Gardner Minshew was 10 of 17 for 124 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 31.5 and a rating of 81.5. Alexander Mattison carried the rock 9 times for 36 yards. Jacoby Myers had 8 receptions for 105 yards. For Cincinnati, Joe Burrow was 27 of 39 for 251 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 85.5 and a rating of 115.5. Chase Brown carried the rock 27 times for 120 yards. Mike Gesicki had a big game, 5 receptions for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati improves to 4-5. Las Vegas falls to 2-7. The Washington Commanders handled the New York Giants 27-22. For Washington, Jaden Daniels was 15 of 22 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 96 and a rating of 128.8. Good game from Jaden Daniels. Chris Rodriguez carried the rock 11 times for 52 yards. Noah Brown had 5 receptions for 60 yards. For the Giants, Daniel Jones was 20 of 26 for 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 72.6 and a rating of 119.7. Tyrone Tracy carried the rock 16 times for 66 yards. Malik Neighbors had 9 receptions for 59 yards. Washington improves to 7-2. The Giants fall to 2-7. The Atlanta Falcons defeated the Dallas Cowboys 27-21. Cowboys getting a little banged up also. Micah Parsons already missed a few games, and now Dak Prescott's going to be out for a while with a hamstring injury. And CD Lamb's a little bit banged up too, though. Might not miss any time. Maybe. But who cares? Because Dallas sucks. Dak Prescott was 18 of 24 for 133 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, for a QBR of 42.4 and a rating of 101.6. Rico Dowdle carried the rock 12 times for 75 yards. Jake Ferguson had 7 receptions for 71 yards. For Atlanta, Kirk Cousins was 19 of 24 for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 58.6 and a rating of 144.8. Bijan Robinson carried the rock 19 times for 86 yards. Darnell Mooney had 5 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. Atlanta looks pretty good. They improved to 6-3. Dallas falls to 3-5. The Titans beat the Patriots. Nobody cares. The Arizona Cardinals defeated the Chicago Bears 29-9. Okay, let's look at some numbers for the Bears. Caleb Williams was 22 of 41 for 217 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 18.4 and a rating of 68.9. DeAndre Swift carried the rock 16 times for 51 yards. Rome Odunze had 5 receptions for 104 yards. For the Cardinals, Kyler Murray was 13 of 20 for 154 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, for a QBR of 29 and a rating of 88.3. James Conner carried the rock 18 times for 107 yards. Trey McBride had 3 receptions for 35 yards. Arizona improves to 5-4. Chicago falls to 4-4. Arizona, I think, is on top of the division right now at 5-4. I cannot figure them out. They lost to Buffalo, beat the Rams, lost to the Lions, lost to Washington, beat the Niners, lost to the Packers, beat the Chargers, beat the Dolphins, beat the Bears. So, I don't know what that means. Okay, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated was 16 of 31 for 169 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions for a QBR of 32.5 and a rating of 40.9. Travis Etienne Jr. carried the rock 3 times for 24 yards. Evan Ingram had 5 receptions for 45 yards. For Philly, Jalen Hurts was 18 of 24 for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 41, and a rating of 132.3. Saquon Barkley carried the rock 27 times for 159 yards and a touchdown. That dude is good at football. Juke move, spin move, backwards hurdle, video game stuff there. Saquon's a beast. Devontae Smith had 4 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. Saquon also had 3 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown. Philly improves to 6-2. Jacksonville falls to 2-7. I can't stand Nick Sirianni. I really can't. He tried to give the game away. He really did. He really did. And it's gonna cost him. It's gonna cost him versus somebody when they're not playing Jacksonville. But yeah, they got another dub though. The Detroit Lions defeated the Green Bay Packers 24-14. The Lions are looking like Super Bowl contenders, for real. Jared Goff was 18 of 22 for 145 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions for a QBR of 89 and a rating of 109.3. Talk about guys that are balling out lately. Jared Goff. David Montgomery carried the rock 17 times for 73 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs carried it 11 times for 65 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 7 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown. For the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love was 23 of 39 for 273 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 31.2 and a rating of 69.7. Josh Jacobs carried the rock 13 times for 95 yards. Jaden Reed had 5 receptions for 113 yards. Green Bay falls to 6-3. Detroit improves to 7-1. Good division. That's a good division right there. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Seattle Seahawks 26-20 in overtime. Good game. For the Rams, Matthew Stafford was 25 of 44 for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 64.3 and a rating of 83.3. Kyron Williams carried the rock 22 times for 69 yards. Cooper Kupp had 11 receptions for 104 yards. For the Seahawks, Geno Smith was 21 of 34 for 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a QBR of 20.7 and a rating of 90.7. Kenneth Walker carried the rock 25 times for 83 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba had a big game, 7 receptions for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Alright, moving right along to the Sunday night game. The Minnesota Vikings defeated the Indianapolis Colts 21-13. For Indianapolis, Joe Flacco was 16 of 27 for 179 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception for a QBR of 14.7 and a rating of 63.7. Jonathan Taylor carried the rock 13 times for 48 yards. Josh Downs had 6 receptions for 60 yards. For Minnesota, Sam Darnold was 28 of 34 for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions for a QBR of 52.6 and a rating of 107.1. Aaron Jones carried the rock 21 times for 64 yards. Justin Jefferson had 7 receptions for 137 yards. Minnesota improves to 6-2. Indianapolis falls to 4-5. The Monday night game, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime, 30-24. What a game. For Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield was 23 of 31 for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for a QBR of 64.7 and a rating of 112.3. Bucky Irving carried the rock 7 times for 24 yards. Cade Otton had 8 receptions for 77